almost didn't turn off my phone. That would have been bad.
Welcome back to another episode of the Blue Review. It is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. The home opener 1 day away. Spring training has ended, an eventful spring training, to say the least. So we will be getting into a little season opener preview, just react to some of these last few things we've seen this week and these last couple weeks, just give our thoughts and our comments. But of course, without further ado, let me just say that the Blue Review is presented by LAX. Our friends at Los Angeles International Airport are always changing the travel experience, changing the reducing traffic, saving guest time, all that good stuff for you. And if you want to know more, flylax.com/transforming LAX. So Marcus Grant, welcome. It's been, I don't know, a couple days since we've seen you.
Yeah, since Monday. Yeah.
Yeah. So welcome back.
Yeah. In fact,
see you.
Appreciate it. The last time I was here with you guys, Shohei had not given his statement yet. It was just before that. So yeah, I had a chance to watch that. I'm sure you guys talked about it at length yesterday.
No, let it go. We don't want to talk any Shohei Ippei at all.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm sure you don't want to talk any Shohei or Ippei at all. I'm sure.
So what were your thoughts? What did you see from Shohei?
Look, I think that under the circumstances, understanding that there's an FBI investigation going on and that there's very little, that he has to be guarded about what he could say. I thought it was the best possible statement he could have made. He seemed very forceful. He was very adamant that he not only had not bet, but certainly had not bet on baseball. And it was a little bit awkward, and I think it's just going to be natural. Him trying to distance himself from Ippei. I mean, a guy that has been your best friend and your right arm for however many years now. So that part seemed a little bit awkward, but I think all things considered, knowing that, he wasn't going to take questions and knowing that there was probably very little that he could actually really, truly dive into, I thought it was the best possible statement he could make. And now we just wait. We wait for further information.
I think that's just what it is. Now we have to wait. I think you're right. I thought he was very good with the way that he spoke about everything and took us down exactly what happened piece by piece. I want to just believe him and take him for his word because this is the first time he's actually said anything. But no matter what, I think we're not going to go too much into all of this because there's really not anything new to get into. But the fact is, it's going to come out. If he's lying, the feds will find it. It's a very easy thing for them to find. These are all, wire transactions. These are all IP addresses that they will get it behind anything whatever it is. And let's be honest, there's just no way his team, his crisis team, Nesbalello, his agent, just anybody that is close to him is going to say like, yes, go up there and lie. And they won't find anything. They won't find anything. So I tend to believe him just on that sense alone.
I mean, so they say the cover-up is worse than the crime, right? I mean, just if he were to have done something, it would have been better for him to just come clean as quickly as possible. So, I think, like I said, I think a lot of people have sort of formed their opinions. I mean, I spent a good part of Monday and some of yesterday reading different takes, different columns about it, and it seems like everybody kind of falls somewhere slightly differently. But I think everybody, for now, has an opinion formed, and we'll see how many people change their mind based on further information.
Yeah, it's all going to come out, and it's going to come out soon. So, or maybe not soon. It could be soon, but it could also take a year, 2 years. So we just never know what's going to happen at this point. So I think if there's questions about it in the chat that want to ask about something Shohei related, happy to answer it. But I don't think that that's going to be the subject of our conversations anymore. So unless something actually comes out that's worthy of talking about.
I prefer to just talk about Shohei on the field. Let's talk about this dude. Hitting.
So you want to talk about Shohei on the field? He has not gotten a hit since Korea, and it was in the first game in Korea. Are you worried that in all 3 games against the Angels, your Angels there, Parker?
0 for 6.
Zero hits. Do you think it has to do with the whole thing that's going on, or he's just not on
No,
top of it
I think
right
it's him facing a team that sort of knows him intimately and kind of knows him in and out. I can't speak to the what happened in Seoul against the Padres or whatever. I think, but at this point, no, I'm not worried about it. I don't know. I think if anybody, I, I think great athletes can sort of compartmentalize this sort of thing, right? Considering Shohei's been a very private person to begin with, I mean, he wouldn't tell us his dog's name. He just quietly dropped it. Oh, by the way, I got married, and people were like, "You were dating somebody?"
now.
I think the great athletes can sort of compartmentalize this. So I think when he steps on the field, that is what his focus is going to be. So I think the offer he's currently in is just one of those things. It's just an offer. I'm not putting too much stock in it.
No, it's nothing. It's still spring training. It's not a real game. It doesn't count. So if he goes like a week or 2 weeks and he still hasn't gotten a hit, then there's a problem. But for the most part, I think he's just gonna be just fine.
I mean, remember, Parker, you probably remember this. When the Angels first got Albert Pujols, like, didn't he go like a month without hitting his first home run? Like, I remember that it was a long stretch, and people were like, "What is going on?" before he finally hit one.
Yeah, it was a rough stretch. I'd have to find the exact number, but people were sitting there going, "Oh, the fall off was that fast?"
Right?
The noise
It was
loud.
like, man, the Angels signed up for 10 years of this, huh? Like, good luck.
Exactly.
Him not hitting is going to be a story. If he does not get hits, that is going to be it becomes a story. If he gets a lot of hits and he's looking like the Shohei that we all know, then it's going to kind of all just kind of dissipate and be like, we're just going to talk about this amazing baseball player. But if he's going over multiple nights and he's not getting extra base hits and he's not hitting home runs, then there's going to be, well, is his mind somewhere else? Is he so worried about not having his best friend anymore that's a problem now? And it's going to cause a much different, larger story that nobody wants.
Yeah, and that's just the nature of LA, baby. I mean, you already mentioned before the show, and and I could see in the chat too, they're already talking about it. We want to stick Dodgers baseball, but just to bring up the LA narrative, and like when you look at it on the Lakers standpoint, the whole stereotype is shooters forget how to shoot when they get to LA. And the storyline just gets that much bigger because everything here in LA is magnified and brought to bigger attention. So if Shohei's not hitting, I'm sure he's going to have a great season, but even when he has stretches of not hitting, everybody's going to the world's ending.
I laugh because this sort of, I think you've inadvertently kind of proved the point that the Angels, I mean, they are LA, but not really. Yeah,
I wholeheartedly agree.
just sort of by saying that, like, yes, they are in the market, right? Like, they are in the LA market technically, but it's not the same level of attention. It's I would guess it's like playing for the Brooklyn Nets or something, right? Like, you're not you're not a Knick, right? You're a Net. It's a different attitude. You're in the city, you're still in New York, but you're not really considered that. And so, he moves 30 miles up the road, but it's a whole world away in terms of the scrutiny and the attention that you're going to get because of your play.
I mean, it's Anaheim. Can we just stop this?
but okay,
I love everybody in the OC, but it's Anaheim. Anaheim is not Los Angeles. It just isn't.
Hey, man, take it up with Artie Moreno.
There's a lot of things to be taken up with Artie Moreno.
True. But speaking of the Angels, though, and this most recent Freeway series, the weird break in between the Seoul series and the home opener, what did we see in terms of our pitching staff? Because I know we wanted to talk about moving forward, how comfortable are we with this pitching staff? Also, if you want to just mention the whole Jared Carroll situation and his father calling the game, that was really cool. Just what are your thoughts on the rotation right now?
So before we get to the rotation, I just thought that Jared Carroll's thing was really, really cool. Mm-hmm. I mean, he had his dad on the call when he's striking out Joe Adell to end an inning. I think that was just a really fun thing to see. Because you could see Eric, because they were showing the back and forth on the clip that I saw. They were going back and forth between Eric and Jared, and he was sitting there. He's like, "Oh, you can breathe now." And he's like, "I got to stand up," and I got. That's actually like a thing that you can't do in a press box. You are not allowed to cheer. You're not allowed to show any emotion towards one team or the other. Like, you've been in plenty of these things. You have to sit stoically doing nothing. You just have to stare. You can talk to people, but you can't say, "Oh, good job." Not even a golf clap is allowed in there. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, although I do feel like in that situation, it's spring training. It's your kid. You know, also you being a Dodger great. I feel like Eric Karros gets a little bit of leeway in that situation, just a tiny bit. But no, absolutely, it was cool. I wonder for him, you know, was he watching that inning as like an analyst, as a baseball player? Was he just watching it as a dad? Like you know, like I'm sure there were so many emotions of watching this scenario that it probably was just I get it, man. I got to stand up. I got to walk around. I got to let out some of this nervous energy now that this is going through. I totally understand that.
I mean, I hope that he was calling it as a dad. That would be a better broadcast to me. Not
Yeah.
like, oh, well, he's throwing a splitter at it. He's not putting it at the right arm angle. I don't need to hear that stuff. Where I want to hear his thoughts as a father. His kid is on the mound at Dodger Stadium. It was at Dodger Stadium, right? Yeah, it was at Dodger Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And where he played, where he was a legend, I thought that was just a very cool setup there.
Totally. Meanwhile, as for the rotation, which was how we got going, we were talking about this before the show. The starting five for this year is completely different than the starting five this same time last year. You know, there's still a couple guys on the roster. Kershaw's still on the roster. You know, Dustin May is still on the roster, even if he's hurt. But everybody else is gone. I mean, it was Julio Urias. It was Noah Syndergaard. You know, they were waiting for Tony Gonsolin to get healthy. They had Ryan Pepio in the starting rotation in the interim.
He's in Tampa.
Yeah, I mean, it is, which is sort of wild, right? That a team that has been so good for so long has completely churned its starting rotation in the space of a year. You know, I don't know. I guess I don't really know what to make of it, other than I know this has sort of been an Achilles heel for this team over the last few years, is trying to find consistent starting pitching. Hopefully they have figured it out this year, but you know, obviously if they were having this conversation, Greg, it means we still have questions about it.
Yeah, I think there has to be questions about it, and it's something that's been talked about through most of the off season and into spring training, but these are 5 guys that are either extremely young or unproven or injury prone. Tyler Glasnow, injury prone. Bobby Miller, very, very young, looked great in his last start, but still very, very young and did not look great in his last regular season game, which was a playoff game, and he got taken out after an inning. Then it's Yoshinobu Yamamoto. His first start was a disaster. He made it 1 inning. Then it's, you know, Gavin Stone, he was hurt a lot of last year, but he got lit up against the Angels on Monday. Then James Paxton got lit up against the Angels last night. These are some terrifying times. Maybe not terrifying is a little bit of a stronger word. Sorry. But either way, like there are question marks on this. And by the end of the year, it's going to be completely different also when Walker Buehler comes back, when Clayton Kershaw comes back. But looking at it right now, it's going to be a kind of hit or miss. And to your point, this has been the Achilles heel. These guys have to step up. I think it's very telling that your 2 anchors, the front and the back, are the veterans, and 3 young guys in the middle. That's going to be interesting to see that mix.
I know that the organization has had its own theory about how to handle pitching, how to handle starting pitching, and that sort of thing. You know, it's very analytics heavy. But considering the way it has gone, is it time to maybe rethink that a little bit? You know, and not necessarily scrap it, but maybe allow for your manager to kind of manage by feel a little bit more versus by the numbers or the, you know, by the book. I mean, is it time to maybe, you know, change up the method, just because they seem to keep running into a wall at the same exact spot every single year? It feels like at some point they might need to just change tack.
I mean, if the thought is, and maybe it's just a fan's thought or my thought, I don't know how you feel about it, that if he doesn't win a World Series, Dave Roberts is gone. Like, he needs to be fired. It's need to get a new voice in the room, need to get somebody else in there. So if that's the case, then yes, they need to go to allowing Dave just to go off of his gut. You use your analytics in the right way, especially during the regular season. Analytics work on a 162 game season over a long stretch of a time. It's the little small things. And basically it's like having him in a 4-game set, having him treat it like it's a playoff series. and trying to manage like it's a playoff series in those 4-game sets to see actually that he can manage this team in a short period of time and not just over the long 162 game season that he has done so well in. Because when it gets to those short ones, he falls apart. So, and whether that's because of the analytics or because of his gut, I never know which one it happens to be. So, yes, I'm totally with you. Allow him to be more of a manager. Allow him to be the guy. And honestly, he's already made a couple of decisions this spring training that were pretty big moves. He took Gavin Lux out of the shortstop, put him at second base, took Mookie Betts, put him at short, who has been shaky at shortstop. So that could become a little bit of an issue. But he made that move. He moved Yamamoto to the 3 spot instead of the 2 and moved Bobby Miller up. Those are 2 moves before they even started that very well could be Freeman, but it sounds like it's him right now.
Yeah, I think it is him right now. And, I don't know. I think you talk about the shortstop position. I expect they're going to make a move at some point. I think they have to go out and try to find another shortstop. So I don't know what that necessarily means for Gavin Lux because Mookie's not going to sit. Mookie's not going to be the guy that goes on the bench. So I don't know what that necessarily means for Lux unless somehow, he gets markedly better defensively or is just hitting the ball so much that you can't sit him down. But, here we are. I mean, we haven't had the official home opener yet, and we're already sort of identifying problem spots for where this team, may need to make some moves. Obviously they're going to let this thing sort of play out a little bit, but it is apparent that there are definitely some things that need to be addressed before this team gets to September.
So would you go out and get somebody right now and move Gavin Lux? Gavin Lux hit a home run last night. He's starting to find his bat a little bit, and he hasn't been terrible so far in spring, like towards the end of spring at second base. Would you move Mookie to second and put Rojas at short, or would you try and go out and get a new shortstop?
Let's go get Luzardo, baby. Let's go all in on pitching. the baby lizard. Let's do
it. Right now, I will say let's let this thing play out over the first couple months of the season and kind of see where we are. I think the process for me would be one, let this thing play out over a month or so, sort of see how things develop. If it's not going the way you want, then I think you look in-house and see if you can find an answer there. If that doesn't work, you still have another month or so, hopefully, to kind of figure out, okay, now we need to go out and find somebody to make a deal. So I guess the beauty of having a trade deadline come at the end of July is that you've got April, May, June. You've got 3 months to kind of figure out what your solutions are going to be. And so, they've already made one big move in moving Lux to second base. I think you have to give that time to sort of work itself out, see if Lux can figure it out. I mean, look, in fairness to him, it was a full year basically between him playing baseball, right? He got hurt. Was it the first game of spring training? It was really early in spring training last year.
First game,
when he got hurt. So it had been a full year. So in fairness to him, give him some time to sort of work his way back in. But I think, if we get to, late May and things aren't looking much better, then I think you do have to start trying to find some other solutions.
Well, and also to his credit, we haven't seen any throwing errors at least since that's
different
whole topic of conversations. Yeah, and it's different. And shout out to him for hitting a dinger as well yesterday. So mentally, you could see that maybe things are kind of shifting, but you never know. I think to your point, Marcus, yeah, you have to wait and see a month, maybe 2 in advance to just see how this is really going to play out.
Yeah, I wonder with mental fortitude, right? Like obviously we're seeing what Gavin is doing. He's being very mentally tough right now. He's not making throwing errors like you're saying, Parker. He hit a home run, so his bat is starting to come alive. So those things are things that I like to see. Now, Mookie is having some trouble at shortstop right now. He is having a tough time with the adjustment over there because that's not his natural position, and he's not really played it very much at all. So we're going to give him some time. But if we do give him some time and it's still a problem, how does that affect his mental abilities to play if you have to move him again? Because I've always said that I thought once he went to shortstop, in his mind, he thought, I am now the Los Angeles Dodgers starting shortstop. I am going to be great at this position. If he's not, and they move him back to second, does that mess with his brain at all? Or is he just too mentally strong?
That's a good question. I don't know. And I think it's one of those things where, does it, even if things aren't going well defensively, does it affect his offense? I mean, I immediately think of Cody Bellinger, who for those years when he wasn't hitting, it didn't impact his defense. Defensively, you could still count on him in the field, even if he wasn't hitting. So, I would like to think that Mookie Betts is good enough physically, is strong enough mentally that even if defensively things aren't quite working out, that it won't impact him at the plate. But again, I think for me, this goes back to let's just let this thing play out for a little bit and let everybody get comfortable. Hopefully these are conversations that Roberts is having with the guys, that these guys are having with themselves about what their level of comfort is, getting used to playing, at different positions together, and making sure they come up with the best solution over the next 162.
Yeah. So what do you think, Brother Parker? Do you think Mookie's going to do well at shortstop? Do you think he's going to be moved?
Well, it's tough. I think I'm with Marcus. I don't know, and there's really no way to know until you just keep getting bigger sample sizes on a bigger platform, which is the regular season. Now, it is at least a little worrying. I think that's all I can say at the moment, is that it's a little scary that side of the infield is still a bit shaky. I mean, we haven't seen much from Max since like the beginning of spring training, but still, you don't really trust him as like a certified defender. So I think mentally, yeah, he's fine enough. I will say he is fine enough to, on the offensive end, still continue to carry the load as he has, his whole career. But I am worried. I am worried on the defensive end.
Yeah, well, it all starts tomorrow, Marcus. I'm excited. So we are ESPN LA is going. I almost said UCLA. That was weird. ESPN LA is going to be at Clearman's Galley in the San Gabriel Valley tomorrow. So come hang out with us tomorrow for opening day. Watch the Dodgers with us. Are you gonna? Is that something you can make it out to, Marcus? It seems like a little bit of a drive.
It's a little bit of a drive. Also, I have the duty of my mom's coming into town, so I got to spend the day with mom.
There you go.
So good. So good.
Yeah. So that probably takes me out of that, but I will certainly be watching the opener.
Well, wonderful. Parker, are you going to be there, or are we going to just do Blue Review and then you're staying here?
Well, we're going to have to find out because, we are technically awaiting word from the Dodgers still to see if.
Oh, yeah, I'm still waiting on that. I did put in your credential request, though.
That's right. So
hopefully that comes in today.
What will happen is essentially I'll see you all at Clearman's Galley if I am not credentialed, and if I am credentialed, sorry, I'm at the game.
That's fair. It's fair enough.
All right. Well, so make sure to do that. If you're on the chat right now, come out to Clearman's Galley, hang out with Travis and Sliwa starting at 10 o'clock, and hang out with Mason in Ireland. It's going to be Mason and DeMarco Farr tomorrow, so we'll all be out there. Mason may or may not be drinking heavily. We'll see. We'll see what we want to do with that, but that's going to do it for us. Thank you very much, Marcus. Parker, why don't you take us away?
And also, don't forget, I don't know if we're going to be able to see this, but I couldn't get the file supported.
Oh,
there it is.
There's Ipe.
Being thrown directly under the bus.
Tossed under the bus. Right there.
Oh, man.
Oh, God,
well,
I love South
today
Park.
was a good Blue Review. Tomorrow, I think we'll preview the matchup a little more. They got Glasnow versus, who is it, Mikolas, because I think Sonny Gray's starting the season on the IL. So we'll preview that matchup a little more. We'll talk some baseball more. Like Greg said, come find us at Clearman's Galley. Maybe not me, but maybe me. Thank you, Marcus Grant, for being here. Thank you, Greg Bergman, as always, for being here. I'm Parker Bell. We're the Blue Review. Thank you to LAX.